Hey everybody, what is up? What's going on? It's Devin LaVore coming at you. So it's been a rough night, man. I tell you what, I came out with that Out of the Blue series, and last night I feel like the enemy gave me his response to it. And what was his response to it? His response was to attack me with what? Unbelief, doubt, and confusion. Okay, just after God's just revealed this awesome thing to me, he wants to come in and darken it and muddy it up. Well, how did he do that? Well, he started getting me to, it's like how Jesus was led out into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. But while he was there were times where the devil actually took him. Man, I tell you what, we don't get messages like that too much. Because it's true. It was like, well, the devil didn't lead Jesus. Yes, he did. The devil took him up. It says the devil took him up and showed him things. You know? Now that could be just like it's in his mind. He showed it to him. The devil like put this thing in Jesus' mind that took Jesus to a certain place that tempted him. And why was Jesus tempted? Because he really wanted to do that thing. And he knew he was called to do that thing that the devil was showing him. The devil was trying to get him to do it in his own strength, in his own effort, in Jesus' own strength and own effort, right? And Jesus was, and the reason why it's called the temptations, because it was a temptation to the Lord to be like, yeah, I really want to do that, but I can tell right now you are the devil. And I am not going to do it. And so that's what the enemy did with me. That's what he does with all of us. He does it with everybody. He dangles something in front of you to take your eye. Like you're focused on this thing, right? And it's the Lord and it's awesome. And then here comes this thing swinging in front of you. Oh. You know what I mean? And you start looking at that instead of what God said. You know, if you can focus on what God has said, then you'll be led to victory, and you'll stay in victory. You may not feel it all the time, because when you're in a war, you feel it. You know, I'm sure when people are in actual wars, like the, Vietnam War and World War I and all the other wars that happen, you feel it. Doesn't matter what side you're on, you feel it, and it doesn't feel good. So he comes to me like this. He's like, you know what, Devin? I see what you're doing there. That's some really good revelation. That is awesome. And God is just showing you all this really cool stuff, right? Really cool. That's great. But look at your situation, man. Look at your situation. Look at all the dire needs you have. Look at how God's been silent on it. You've prayed, you've fasted, you've done everything that you could possibly do. You've asked for help. You've done all this stuff, and God is still got you right here. He's not answering. He's not helping you out in the practical things, you know? So what are you going to do? Isn't it the Lord's will that you should work? But I am working, you know? I'm just not making that much money at it right now. But you don't work, you don't eat. You know? Because see, the enemy, he will use scripture on you to get you to do something that you know the Lord doesn't want you to do. He'll get you to go in a direction that the Lord doesn't want you to go in. And it seems like wisdom. I'm talking, let's go back to the Garden of Eden, to the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Oh, that looks wise. Yeah, it does make me wise. Oh, that's all he did. Oh my goodness. He's not changed one bit. He's trying to get you to look at the thing that God said not do and trying to make it look good. That's how he leads all the nations astray. That's how he deceives people. He makes them look at the evil and tries to make it good. It's not a political thing. This is not a religious thing. This is a reality thing. You know, he just looks. God says, hey, I want you to do this. Make sure you don't do that. So he wants to make you look, first, stage one, look at the evil thing, the thing that God said not do, because you need this. Whatever it is, the temptation is real because it's something that you want or need, called to do, all the above. Just the way it was with Jesus. He's not changed at all. That's stage one. Then stage 2 is to look at the thing that God called good and say that's actually not good. You know, he didn't get that far with me last night, but I'm sitting there and I'm going, you know what? That is true. It's like you can get all the spiritual highfalutin stuff, and it's great that God's doing that, but it's like, yeah, you know, where is the manifestation? Where is the... It's like, you know what, that kind of stuff, after you get attacked by that like 187,000 times, you know, you start to recognize, like, wait a second. You know what? You, like Jesus, you're like, you know what, devil, I see you, get away from me. I am not going to do that. I know that it would seem like I need to do the thing you're telling me that I should do, but I'm not going to do that. And it was after the devil thoroughly tested him 3 times, however many times it's going to take for us, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is, it was after the tests on Jesus and the temptations were completed, then the angels came and ministered to him. And he was released into his into what God wanted him to do. You know, and I felt like that's what was going on, and he came out in the power of the Spirit. Well, I could go off on that one because that's one of the promises God gave me, but I can't do that in this video. Woo, I'm tempted to. But that is what was going on with me last night. I felt like I was getting tempted again because it's the same thing that keeps coming at me, and then I kind of grab onto it a lot of times, and I go, yeah, you know what? I do need to do this thing that I feel like I need to do. And I've mentioned it in other videos. And then I kind of start to go down that road because it all just makes sense. And then, but see, that's the thing. It's like a clutch accelerator thing. While the enemy is pressing in on you with his temptation, you're releasing your faith and hope in the promise of God, you know? And it's like, you just don't want to do that. And you just got to say, devil, I am not going to do that. And then it's like, and there's a lot of times in scripture where it says, and then God knew, you know what I'm saying? And then God knew that Abraham loved him. And then he provided the ram caught in the thicket type of thing. And then God knew such as, and it's like, that's a whole theological maze right there. Because it's like, wait a minute, don't you know everything? What do you mean you knew? But we're not going to get into that in this video either. I'm having fun. Anyway, so for most of you, you know that I just had a baby, right? On the 12th, a week ago today. And there were 3 words that came out that day that I thought were just awesome words, right? From Lorelei Cooley, from Prophet Joel Whitaker, and Cameron Edwards, right? And I really, really connected with Miss Whitaker and Miss Cooley's message, right? That I was like, oh, that's so good, you know? Because it was really general, and it was like, yeah, this is awesome. But then Prophet Cameron Edwards talked about 7 days. You know, he really felt the Lord was saying 7 days, right? And I felt it too. I mean, I did. I mean, I was just like, I could tell the Holy Spirit was on him. But more than that, I knew, like, God was like, yeah, I am going to give you a breakthrough in 7 days. Now, this is the problem. And I posted this on my Facebook, and I said, breakthrough doesn't always look like what you think it looks like. Well, why is that? Because when we get a word from the Lord, say, "Ooh, there's going to be breakthrough," I think I'm going to get breakthrough in the area that I keep getting tempted in, that I keep having issues in, that I keep having problems in. You know, so my mind is fixed on, "Ooh, I'm going to get breakthrough there," and that's not what happened. You know, my breakthrough came, as you all know, through getting this message called Out of the Blue. And it was like, whoa, it really, truly was a breakthrough. It was a revelation to me. It was like, I don't know, it was like the doors were open in heaven to me. And I saw this vision of what God's building. And I'm just like, what? That's crazy. You know, I'm concerned about, you know, trying to catch some food here in the desert, and looking for the streams in the wilderness type of thing and the rivers in the desert. I'm concerned about my own life, and God's got this huge, huge, massive plan that he's working on. It really was the breakthrough. And it happened within that 7-day period of time that the Holy Spirit was sharing with him that was going to happen. And of course, I'm still looking for different kinds of breakthroughs and different kinds of miracles. And those things are needed, and those things are coming. Holla, you got to prophesy to yourself too. You've got to declare and decree things over yourself too. Not things that are highfalutin, emotional things. No, things from the Spirit of God. If the Spirit of God has put it in you, then you need to get it out of you. And you need to believe it. We can talk, I could do like 7 videos on that. But I felt like the Lord was saying to me, like, he was sharing with me like how people have come into sudden breakthroughs. And how you guys remember that dude, I forget his name. I think his name was Antoine. And he had that video, hide your wife, hide your kids. Because, that dude. And then he from that one video, he kind of was propelled into this spotlight, and he's been in Tyler Perry movies and stuff like that. I mean, he's had some success, and he didn't have to do anything, right? And I felt like the Lord was reminding me of that. Why? Because God will use stuff that's up in here that you can relate to prove a point, right? Because not only that, I thought the video was hilarious, but I felt like the Lord was like, look at what he did. Look at how these sudden breakthroughs happen. And I felt like the Lord was saying, those kind of things happen all the time. And I felt like the Lord was like, but I have a plan. I have a plan for your breakthrough. I have it planned. I have it scheduled. There is a specific date on my calendar for you. It's not going to be some haphazard, all of a sudden, and do you think that I'm not going to provide for you? Have I not provided for you up until this point? No, it might not have been the way that you wished it could happen, and you had to, ask people for help or whatever. That doesn't matter. The whole point is God will provide. I remember when we decided we were going to have a home birth. I was like, Lord, how's that going to happen? Right, even before that, my fears and doubts and anxiety could come in, the Lord stepped up and he was like, I will provide. And he was very serious about it too. He was serious. He was like, no, you're not going to, I'm going to provide. And sure enough, he did. Oh my gosh, that's a whole nother story right there too. I mean, he did. And it was like, whoa. Of course, I was expecting him to give me the money. See, we are always expecting God to give us the money. But I was expecting him to give me the money, and then I was going to be able to, provide. But it just didn't happen that way. It will at some point, absolutely. The money will come in, the reward will come in, the financial prosperity will come in. But it's like we have to trust in the Lord. And I think that's really the overarching vision of the whole Out of the Blue series. It's like, listen, God has planned this for a long time. God has planned this since the beginning of time. This moment right here has been in the works since before 70 years ago. It's like God knew some things, and it's like not only that, but it's like God knows that for your life, so you have to trust him completely. You have to trust in him. I read a thing from the Elijah list yesterday that was published on July 6th about how God is like, okay, I've stripped you down so completely now that you have to completely trust in me. You have no self-effort. There's nothing you can do. You have to completely trust in me. That's totally where I'm at right now. And a lot of times the enemy tries to get me to rise up in myself and do some self-effort thing. And that never, ever, 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 ever feels good. Ever. It feels like I've been placed out of the garden, and now I have to work the ground and sweat. The sweat of my brow type of thing. And there's no grace in it. The Lord's like, I'm not in that. And you better recognize, you know what I mean? And so, back to me and my wife having a baby. Well, it's not just me, it's her, really. I don't know why they put both of us in. Anyway, like when you have a child, you know that, and when particularly if you're having it natural, you cannot catch the thing. You can't catch that baby. The wife cannot catch. That's what I mean. If you have an epidural, sure, you can lean forward and, pull the baby out and catch it and be like, oh, what a wonderful moment. Yeah, because you're not feeling nothing. But when it's natural, man, the wife is super focused, hyper focused, and she needs help, you know? And so that's what midwives are for. That's what husbands are for. And so I felt like the Lord was saying, like, this morning, after a, kind of a battle last night, and waking up this morning going, okay, Lord, no matter what happened last night, I'm in your face today. Felt like the Lord was like saying, what would happen if, let me give some backdrop, because all three of our kids were born in 3 hours or less. After her water broke, baby was here in like 3 hours, 3.5. Some of them, I think, were under 3. One of them, some of them. I only got 4. But anyway, this this baby, Isaiah, he was taking a long time. I mean, we're looking at like 5.5 hours, and it's like, and she's pushing and pushing, and it's just like, what is going on? Sound familiar? You know where I'm headed with this, or you know where he's headed with this. But it's like, now what if, so this is what the Lord was saying to me. This was totally different. It's one of those, you have not gone this way before. It was totally different. Like, where is it? I'm used to things happening a certain way. Why? Because I have a track record of 3 kids happening that way. And that's what happens. She goes and she water breaks. She starts going into labor, and out comes the baby 3 hours later. And it kind of happened that way, but it actually took twice as long as it normally took. So what if the Lord was like, so what if you decided, man, this is taking way too long. Way too long. I'm going to go ahead and fill out some adoption papers, because this baby's just taking too long to come out. First of all, that's foolish and ridiculous, because adoptions take a long time, right? And see, that's kind of some of the things that I've been tempted by. The enemy's been tempting me to, you know what you need to do? I know this is a messed up situation you're in, so you need to go do this. And it's like, you know what, you're right. Well, the truth of the matter is, those things take a long time to develop and process. You're not going to get any financial breakthrough right away from doing those things. See, and that's the thing. The enemy lies to you. He wants to answer your immediate need with a long-term solution. That's not smart, And so I was like, and as the Lord asked me that question, I knew exactly where he was going. It's like, you have to stay in position. Especially if I just told you 3 days ago that this thing is crowning. You can see it coming out. It is coming out, and you need to be there to catch it. Because let me tell you something. During the birth of my daughter, I know what it's like to have a baby just come out and have no one catch it. Because the hospital that we were in, so full of rules and laws and regulations and everything that just bound people, hand, foot, mouth, head, arms. I mean, they were gagged, and their entire body was gagged with rules and regulations. And so when the baby comes out, no one picks up my daughter, and she's just sitting there in this amniotic soup, and I'm just like, what in the world? Pick her up. And I told the nurse, I'm like, pick her up, man. And then she's like, no, I can't do that. I'm just a nurse. And you know what's going through her head? All the laws, and then she might lose her job, and, all this stuff. And I'm going like, really? Like, this is ridiculous. And then after she's born, a flock of doctors and nurses come in and all that stuff. And some of them even start arguing with each other. And I'm like, this is insanity. This is just crazy. But isn't that exactly how the devil works? He offers you a solution, and you go to do that solution, and it's insanity. It's crazy, and it actually doesn't work, and it actually creates more problems. My daughter's awesome, by the way. She's a feisty prophet of God, I tell you what. But all that to say that, like, the Lord was saying, stay in position. Don't get out of position, because that's what the enemy's trying to get you to do. That's why he attacks. He's trying to get your focus off. Get your eyes out of position. Get your heart out of position. And then your whole body and your behavior will follow, and you'll get yourself out of position. Now, is God going to do what he's going to do? Yes, but if you're not in position, you will miss catching it. you will. It's just that simple. I mean, can you catch up later? Sure. You know, because when a baby's born, it's not going to just come out and then die because you weren't there to catch it. No, it's just you want to be there. You want to see it happen. You know, you don't want to be coming in late. And it's like there's just so much that can be said on that. You know, and I know I've said a lot of different things here in this video, and it's a pretty lengthy video. I'll be shocked if so many of you get through it all, but I just wanted to share that with you, man, because, you know, within the 7 days that Cameron Edwards talked about, I got the breakthrough, but it wasn't the breakthrough I thought or the breakthrough I wanted, but it was actually a piece of breakthrough that I wanted. I did want some revelation of what God's going, what he's doing, and it's like, and I learned that, you know, you got to just trust God fully. You know, he's going to do what he's going to do. But then I also learned that, you know what, the devil's going to do what he's going to do too, and to try to get you distracted, to get your eyes focused on the thing that he wants you to focus on. And forget this God stuff. It's just all spiritual stuff. He doesn't help you here on the earth. That kind of thing. And that you just got to stay in position, you know. So I hope that was a blessing to you guys, as always. And I just pray blessing on each and every individual who's watching this video, particularly my subscribers and those of you who I've been interacting with, which has been amazing. I had one subscriber say, you know what, I'm going to stop commenting so much because I'm trying not to comment on every video. And I'm like, are you kidding? You can comment as many times as you want to. You know, that's what, you know, it's a kind of like an online fellowship, you know, and if my YouTube channel can create an atmosphere where people talk about the things of God and maybe things that they can't talk about with the other people around them, that's awesome. Comment, talk with each other. That's great, you know? And maybe we can be so built up that it like infects some of the people around us in church and stuff like that. So go forward in faith, guys, and continue to be blessed. And I will see you on the next video. I don't even know what I'm going to share. I didn't know I was going to share all this stuff. So, see you guys.